Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 16 of Hooked on Sonics. We're Bruce and Tony, and today we are going to review some pretty interesting albums. One by Huntress, Starbound Beast, and Big Brother and the Holding Company, featuring the one and the only Janis Joplin, Cheap Thrills. Tony, how are you?
I am good. How are you, bud?
Good, man. Ready to get this thing rolling. I've been chomping on this all week, so yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good. You been listening to anything?
No,
Not a
nothing,
thing.
nothing. I've been in isolation booth this entire week, except for Huntress.
Nice.
Oh, and some other stuff that I'm going to reveal to you at the end because it's part of your next album review.
Sounds like a plan.
Yes, sir. What about you?
Who was I listening to this week? I know that I wanted to mention somebody that I was listening to this week, and I can't remember right offhand who it was. A lot of Winery Dogs, obviously, because we just got done seeing that show. Who else was I jamming to this week? I might have been listening to some Abath.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's that?
So he was a guitar player for, I believe the band was Immortal.
Okay.
So they had I guess, pretty nasty little falling out, and he went off to do a solo career. It was good moment. If you ever kind of tune into some of the stuff that went on with these guys, Abath had a really bad drinking problem, and a lot of fans and friends and family knew it. And it sounds like he's just recently gotten sober, so congratulations on that.
But, hey, good on him.
He was in a situation, man, where it was looking rough, man.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but we all have good days and bad days. And sometimes more of us than others.
Absolutely. Day by day, baby. Well, speaking of which, before we get the ball totally rolling here, what are you drinking?
I went with a classic this evening.
Okay.
I think you might even recognize this thing. Let me get a good side shot of it here. A back shot of it. So you can see what's going on down there.
Oh, look at that little Corona with the little lime.
Yeah. Went with a
got some salt on that rim?
No, I usually don't salt my rim.
Leave that to the professionals.
No. I just wipe it with the lemon.
Okay. All right. Well, I am having the Brewdog Cannon Blast. It's dry hop Pilsner made by a local brewery there in Columbus, Ohio.
Indeed.
Brewdog.
Brewdog. I like their Hellcat.
Dog.
They make for Iron Maiden.
Okay.
It's pretty good. I just recently started liking their stuff. I'm not a big, like when I first tasted their stuff, I had an Elvis juice. I didn't care for it. But I recently acquired a taste for those guys, and they're pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, I had that Elvis juice before, too, when I was working at Nationwide Arena, and it was terrible.
I didn't care for it.
Yeah.
I didn't care for it. Now, you know what they are carrying at Nationwide Arena? If you can find it in the little spots? Barley's Bloodthirst Wheat, bud.
Really?
Really. That's my hands down favorite local brewery beer.
Are they still carrying Land Grant?
I don't know.
Okay.
When I went for the Iron Maiden show, of course I had an Iron Maiden beer, but that was only after I got to my seat and had already drank the Bloodthirst Wheat.
Okay.
So yeah, it was pretty good, man. And they do make some good beers. And as a matter of fact, what I really like about them is they really do have a good lineup of non-alcoholic beers with very low carbs. So man, that's really cool for diabetics, dude. And me being diabetic, that's why I have them. Like if I'm going to drink shots or have mixed drinks, I'll usually have a beer with it, but I'll be able to have the taste of beer without the influence of the alcohol
Good.
and the
Yeah,
carbs,
I
obviously.
I haven't tasted a non-alcoholic beer yet that I like. So
Dude, they're always going to miss something. It's
yeah,
always going to miss something. Okay. But at the end of the day, out of all the non-alcoholic beers I've had, they're one of my favorites.
good. Okay. I think I've had Sharps before, no duels.
Ew, ew, ew.
Yeah.
I'll pass on that.
Yeah, I told you. So, all right. Well, next up, let's head to the news desk.
News desk, man. Okay, I've got a blitzkrieg of information here. I want to thank the fellas over at I'll make no bones about it. I get a lot of my stuff and information from Blabbermouth, and I grab pretty much the headlines here. That's stuff that looks pretty fun and legit. So with that being said, we got some albums that are going to be coming here soon. It looks like Overkill has an album coming up called Scorched, and Sweet and Lynch are working on a new album together. I didn't remember the name of that, and I know that 6 Feet Under is working on a new album, which is really cool. Speaking of albums, and this has been some pretty big news, is Metallica acquired an album pressing company, which I guess that means they're going to be able to press their own stuff whenever they want, however they want, and release it how they want, which is really
Yep.
nice. Which is really nice for an artist to do, considering vinyl is becoming a big thing again.
Oh yeah,
really cool. Really like
Yep.
that. Let's see, tours. It looks like Machine Head's doing a tour, Clutch is doing a tour.
Mastodon and Gojira.
Yeah, I think that was announced last week. But let's see, Bullet for My Valentine. That's what I saw. Bullet for My Valentine will be doing that. And then want to give it up because we spoke about these guys before, I think, on the show. Voivod got metal/hard rock music album of the year at Juno.
No kidding.
I'm gonna have to take a look into that album because I do like me some Voivod stuff. So pretty freaking cool. And that is the news.
All right. So the one thing that I think is really cool about Metallica getting the record pressing plant, one thing I can say about Metallica is they do a lot for their fans. So all kinds of goodies on these re-releases of the anniversaries of like Injustice for All and Master and all that.
So dude, they'll probably. I mean, I'm sure they've done. I believe they've done box sets of the early albums. All the albums,
and they're fantastic.
And if they have access to repressing those, you may not own an original pressing of that, but you may own a second pressing that may come with a back patch or something in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I'm all for that. And that's one of the things I really like. Now, I think I've talked to you about this, and I think there's a location in Tennessee, and I think there's a location in Michigan, Third Man Records, dude, who's owned by
Jack White.
Jack White, which Sleep is on, and a few other bands and stuff and whatnot. They have what's called the Vault, and every quarter they'll release, as long as you're a member of the Vault for I think $75 a quarter, they'll release some craziness, dude.
Yeah.
Some craziness on you. Oh yeah, thanks for being a Vault member. Here, would you like some crazy? This crazy's for you.
Yeah.
It's nuts, dude.
Yep. So also keep an eye out. Record Store Day is coming up next month. And, support your local record stores.
Dude, let me explain to you something. If Record Store Day is coming up next month, knowing what I know that Ohm is working on an album. I believe High on Fire is working on an album, but I don't believe it'll be done that soon.
Yep.
I know Church of Misery just turned over the album to the label for probably distribution and approval or whatever. A lot of stuff could pop off.
Yeah.
I mean, if Ohm did a single, it'd go nuts, dude.
So here's the thing. If you go to recordstoreday.com, they've got the full release of everything that they're releasing because the record stores have to order that stuff. And I think the deadline to order it was like maybe last week or maybe it's even this week. But
I'm gonna have to
one
take a
of the
look at
things,
that.
yeah, definitely do that. And one of the things I ended up ordering was Eric Carr's Tales of the Fox, or I'm sorry, Rockology, um, with some really cool vinyl. The cover looks like one of the solo album covers, but with Eric Carr's makeup.
Nice.
Bruce Kulick was heavily involved in this album, and so it's going to be a pretty exciting double vinyl release. So pretty excited for
Nice.
that.
Nice. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Listen up, Kiss fans. That's a good one there.
Yes, sir. And it's only limited to 2,000 copies. So
Did you get your hands on one?
they ordered a couple.
Okay.
So we'll see. 2,000 copies across the whole United States.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what makes
tough.
record stores so cool. Like it's only limited pressings of whatever that these random bands put together.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Cool.
All right. Are we ready? Are we ready to experience all this awesomeness that we had to go through and just relive this?
You mean talk about these albums?
Oh, of course.
All right. Well, um, it's up to you. Whoever you want to go can go.
You know what? I'm not even going to fight with you. I'll go ahead and go.
All right. Let's hear it.
All right. So Tony gave me Huntress's Starbound Beast, released July 2nd of 2013. Jill Janis, and I want to talk about her before I get too deep into the album. Her background. She was the lead singer. She died back in 2018 of parent suicide. She had had a lot of mental issues, bipolar, and then schizoaffective disorder later on. So, and she had struggled with that pretty much her entire life. She was a classically trained vocalist. She started in opera early on. And then when she became like a teenager, she's like, you know what? She got the metal bug and she started becoming a metal singer. She actually went to college with the American Dramatic Academy. So, and she even did a co-headlining tour with Amon Amarth, and she was the singer for them for that tour since their singer was incapacitated. So she was essentially singing two shows on one tour.
She's a monster, dude.
Yeah.
She was a force to be reckoned with, and it breaks my heart that she's gone.
So how did you first find out about them?
I saw them live. I saw them live, and after they had come off stage, she actually kind of wandered through the crowd and was really cool with people, man. And it was you don't see that often where people want to interact and get with people. And I want to say, I can't remember who they opened up for, man. I want to say they opened up for COC when COC didn't have Pepper Keenan with them and they did that album.
Okay.
So it may have been around that time, but all I can tell you is she was an enigma.
Yeah.
She was something else, man. And it's unfortunate she's no longer with us.
No, I completely agree. It would be interesting to see what other music they would have been able to put out. Just an extremely wonderful, powerful voice. The cover for that album is fantastic. It's very. I mean, if I could find that on vinyl, I would definitely hang that up. So, a lot of great riffs. This is a riff monster album. A lot of great riffs. some of my favorite songs on there was Blood Sisters. Blood Sisters was probably the most standout track for me.
Okay.
I like her voice, her range in that, where she actually got some good growl in there. I was like, oh, girl, okay. So that was kind of that was because I don't like that Cookie Monster stuff at all, but she did it right.
Yeah.
It was tasteful. It was a tasteful growl.
Dude, she is something
Yep.
else. I mean,
Yep.
dude, I can't tell you. Like, it breaks my heart that talent is no longer in this universe.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart as much as Peter Steele being gone.
Yeah, I get that. I can get that. Like I said, Blood Sisters, really good standout track. The other one, I Want to Fuck You to Death.
Lemmy wrote
that
those
was
lyrics.
Really good. Huh?
Lemmy wrote those lyrics.
Really?
Yes. Lemmy wrote that song for her.
Okay. That's good to know. And then the other really standout track for me was Enter the Exosphere.
Oh, that's a good one too. Yeah.
I really dug that. This album really reminded me a lot of like Megadeth and the Euthanasia era.
Okay.
It just had that vibe to it. Like when I kept listening to it, I was like, man, that would fit. I could see Dave singing that, or I could hear Dave play that riff,
Yeah.
It's a good album. One of the things that kind of I kept coming back to was there's a lot of good riffs in it, but they started to blend together after a while, where there wasn't that many great standout tracks. The rest of it was like, okay, yeah, good riff, but something's missing in the rest of the song. Like, you got really good vocals, really good riff, but there's something I don't know what it is.
But let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you find this to be an album that's good enough that you could just let spin? It'd be good enough to sit and play in the background. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that leads me to my point. So this is definitely an album that if you're at work or you're doing something, you're trying to focus on something, put this in the background and you'll constantly catch yourself, bobbing your head, tapping your foot, doing little drum fills every once in a while. But it's not something that I don't think you're going to, oh, I got to listen to that Huntress album. But if it's on, you're like, okay, I dig this. Oh, cool. And then you'll pick up those songs like Blood Sister, and you're like, oh yeah, that's really cool. And you'll listen. You'll stop what you're doing, and you'll listen to that. So yeah, I would for me, I would give this a solid 7.5.
Okay.
And again, it's because there wasn't a huge amount of standout tracks. Nothing bad on it.
Is it enough to make you look for anything else?
Yeah, I would like, because I think they only came out with 3 albums.
I do too.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, I'm interested to see what their journey was. Since I think this was their middle album.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think this is their sophomore album. So it's like, okay, what was the progression? What did it end up being? And then that could really tell me, it may even make me sadder. Like, oh man, if that third album was really good and she passed away like she did, oh God, that would make it even worse. Like, man, they were really catching that,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah,
right,
that's
so you give
where
her 7.5.
7.5.
I don't think I'd be too far off from that myself. It's a good album.
Okay.
It's a very good album. She is a phenomenal singer, and I think the world needs to know about her because we lost a beautiful soul.
Yep. So what are some of your favorites on that one?
I don't have the album pulled up, but yeah, I remember Blood Sisters being a really, really, really good song. Let Me Fuck You to Death, dude, just because Lemmy wrote it. And seeing her perform it live was dope, dude.
Yeah.
I can't remember anything right offhand because I didn't look at the album here recently. But yeah, dude, there's a few standout tracks, but you know, you take it for what it is. It's an album that, you know, maybe it's not by your favorite band, and maybe it's not an album by one of your not so favorite bands, but it's just not a bad album, man. And, you know,
Right.
there's nothing really wrong with it.
Mm.
There's just not a lot that, you know, kind of grabs you, you know?
Yeah.
But it's a good album.
Yeah. And again, that's another reason why it kind of reminded me of Euthanasia, because same kind of tone. Euthanasia had one, maybe two really standout tracks. The rest of it was okay. It was good. Like, you could play it in the background. Nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't great.
You know, so for me around that time, right? You speak of Euthanasia, but you know what the big album was for me at that time? Like an album I just absolutely loved. It was just a phenomenal album. Never heard nothing like it before.
Spice Girls?
No. White Zombie, Los Exorcisto. That to this day is definitely in either my top 5 or top 10. Depending on the mood I'm in.
Yeah.
The whole album front to back. I could just drop that album on and just drive for days. But enough about your album. Let's talk about mine. Cheers. 7.5.
Cheers.
I can respect that. So I had Big Brother and the Holding Company featuring Janis Joplin's Cheap Thrills. And this album I ended up listening to was actually a re-release and had some live tracks and some bonus tracks on it.
Okay.
So it's released in 1968.
Correct.
August, it looks like. And with that
August
being said,
12th.
I wouldn't be lying if I wouldn't say that I was not familiar with this album. Okay, let me make that perfectly clear. My stepmom, Debbie Sinners, God rest her soul, was a huge Janis Joplin fan. One of my dreams was to take her up to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and let her see Joplin's bug.
Yeah.
But never come to fruition. It happens. But I'm very familiar with this album. I'm not super familiar with this album as I am now. So as I'm listening to the album, sometimes I go take a look at the Wikipedia or something and do some research on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I find out that while I'm listening to these albums, I'm hearing a very heavy blues tone, a very, very heavy blues drawl. And I find out that this is also a band that was around in part of the psychedelic era. Well, I'm looking for a psychedelic track halfway through the album, and I still haven't heard one, but I don't get one until what feels like the live tracks. I don't start hearing things that become psychedelic. So I wonder if the psychedelic became something more while they were live as opposed to when they were recording. So I'm gonna have to look a little further into this because I do like psychedelic music.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Hold on real quick before you move on from that point. I found out something in my research, and the only live track on that album, true live track, is Ball and Chain. That's the only one. The rest of it, the producer put in there to sweeten it up, to make it feel like a live album.
Yeah, but it says the only live track was Ball and Chain. It was recorded in concert at Wonderland Ballroom.
Yep, at Winterland. Yep.
So, with that being said, there is no doubt in anybody's mind, Janis Joplin was a very powerful voice. I've been to, I go to karaoke and sometimes I kind of fuck around with that. But I hear a lot of people imitate or attempt to do Janis Joplin. And, while they do a good job in their own right, there is a presence that they just don't quite catch. You know what I mean? There's a vocal presence there. And as someone who sings and understands, what it takes to get to those notes, Not that I can, but I will tell you that Janis Joplin had a one-of-a-kind voice, man.
Yep.
She really had a one-of-a-kind voice. I don't care who you are in this world. And if you go out and you try to replicate her stuff, I don't hear too many people that I think sound and bring that presence in her voice that she had. So while I want to tell you, let me see here real quick. Let me give you my standout tracks. Standout tracks, of course, Peace in My Heart. Everybody knows Ball and Chain. I think a track that I really, 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 really liked is I Need a Man to Love. I found that to be a very deep track. And the end tracks that were kind of live, of course, Ball and Chain's great. Everybody knows that.
Yep.
But the end tracks that's kind of seemed live actually really sounded really good. I kind of like those a lot.
You're talking about those bonus tracks?
Catch Me Daddy live at the Grand Ballroom, Detroit, Michigan, 1968, yep. And Magic of Love. So yeah, okay. I found those to be really cool. So given what just my history with the album and with respect to the artist and what I like, I think I'm gonna have to give it an 8.5, man.
Okay.
I honestly think I'm gonna have to get it. It's a great album, and it really makes me want to do a little more exploration into what's going on there. And I should have done this a long time ago. This also makes me want to open my eyes to maybe some stuff that might have been earlier or around that time, like Mama Cass.
Mm-hmm. Mamas and the Papas, yeah.
The Mamas and the Papas. So yeah, maybe I want to take a look into some of that stuff, because I hear there's some really good psychedelic stuff in that era that I really like to hear. But yeah, it gets an 8.5 from me. Not a bad album whatsoever. Just I just don't see myself spinning this as often as I do other albums. It's just a good album. I just don't see myself spinning it as often as I would other albums. But it's a great album.
I get that. So I actually give it a little bit higher. I actually give it a 9. And that's even without the bonus tracks. I really enjoy the bonus tracks. The best bonus track for me was Roadblock. That thing gets you pumping, dude. I love Roadblock. But yeah,
was that one a little more up tempo?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I remember that would be a good too. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Roadblock a lot. It's crazy to think that this album, a couple things. This album was number 1 for 8 total weeks.
Nice.
It was number 9 on Rolling Stone's 100 Greatest Covers.
Nice.
And then Janis Joplin's body of work was 4 years. There is only 2 years between this album's release and her death.
Wow.
And she put out 2 solo albums right after this.
Now, isn't that crazy how we give each other 2 ladies out of the blue, whose life careers were cut so short with such magnificent voices? I can't wait to give you the album I want to give you, but I want you to give me your album first, because I'm coming, and I don't think you see this one coming.
Okay.
Okay.
I know you definitely won't hear. All right. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the album that I'm going to give you is an East Tennessee girl. She has literally been singing and playing out since she was like 5. She is a super talented singer-songwriter and musician. I give you Emmy Sunshine and the Rain, Family Wars.
Okay.
This is a family band. So her dad plays bass, her brother plays guitar, mandolin, and her brother-in-law plays drums.
Cool. Nice. That sounds like an interesting album, and I'll have access to that on the tube, please.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And your album should easily be found on the Tube, I hope. I don't know
Oh,
about the
you didn't
research on
read,
that,
man.
but I
You're
believe
the
it.
head of the research division,
I
and you.
believe it to be, in all honesty, on the webs.
Okay.
And here I come. Are you ready for this? Your album for next week, Women of the Week or Women of the Month, or
Yep.
Month of Women, however you want to put it, is Jewel, Pieces of Me, or Pieces of You.
Excellent. Now, why did you pick that?
Because honestly, man, I was really thinking about great female singer-songwriters. And when this album dropped, being someone who loved metal and loved some of the alternative stuff that was coming out at that time, dude, she was just, she's good. She's just good, dude. She's just, she is really, really good. And it's, you know, if I had, so you see a lot of these guys, they go out and they perform with other musicians that aren't part of their scene or whatever.
Yeah.
If I could guest someone or guest on someone's song as a female, I like Jewel, dude. I think she's got an amazing voice. Don't get me wrong, I love Dorothea Cottrell, but that's expected of me because it's Doom, right?
Yeah.
So for off the cuff, out of left field, somebody that, you know, and some people may find it way crazy that the Big Tone listens to Jewel. You know, that's a phenomenal album. Phenomenal
talent.
Dude, talent's talent, and you can't deny it. So that's
good. I'm looking forward to it,
my friend. Have you ever listened to it? I know you've heard probably all the popular tracks of it, but have you ever really listened to the album?
I actually might have that album. I've got to look through my stack of CDs.
Dude, it's a good album.
Yeah,
it's a good album. It's something you could put on while you're around the house, just hanging out.
Yep,
it's a good album.
Yep. So one of the things I picked up already, both of these artists that we're going to review next week have strikingly unique voices.
Yeah,
and they have their own style, and you'll see that. And I think you might find some similarities. Maybe.
Good.
We'll find out next week.
You didn't see that one coming though, did you?
I did not. I did not. There's hope for you yet.
Hey, listen, bud. We may not agree on all music, okay? But, you know, it's not like I don't think that you don't have taste in music. I wouldn't be doing this show with you if I didn't think you did.
I just don't have your taste in music.
Most people don't. But in all honesty, I have a very eclectic taste. I can listen to opera, I can listen to rap, I can listen to country, I can listen to blues, I can listen to jazz, I can listen to classical, I can listen to all kinds of shit, dude, and find something somewhere, unless I truly can't dig it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, I think in the same respects you can do the same, you know, and that's why doing this show with you makes sense, because we do have a frame of reference. I know that one of the things I've gotten to do in my life, you would have probably loved to done in your life, and that's go see Phantom of the Opera on Broadway.
Yep, I've seen it in Toronto.
Yeah. So downtown New York, Times Square, right on fucking Broadway, brother. And let me tell you something. It was absolutely phenomenal. And I loved every minute of it. Went and bought the soundtrack right as I was walking out. Like, give me the shit. I'll buy it all. In New York. Acting like
good. I'm going to send you a meme when we're done.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Just because of that. That's funny you mentioned that.
I'll tell you what. We had a great show. I just would like to mention, we're going to try to get the rest of the episodes on Spotify before the end of the week. That's my goal. And we're going to try and keep them updated weekly after that. Please share, like, subscribe. If you're on Spotify, let friends know about it.
Yeah.
If you have a question about an album and would like for us to check it out, please say something, leave a comment. We're looking at everything that we can. Please get at us. I know there's a few of you out there watching. If you say you listen every week, but you haven't put down a comment or something, please let us know. We want to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Once again, like, subscribe, comment. You can find us on Spotify at just look up Hooked on Sonics with an X. I'm Tone.
I'm Bruce.
And we will see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.
See you guys.